This is Boxing Tickets NI, and we're joined with Callum Bradley. How are you, Callum?
All right. How's it going? All good. How about you?
Always fantastic. We were just obviously joined with another special guest with your Rottweiler Canelo in the room, but I think he's decided he's going to train for the Billy Joe fight. So
He's away training there now, so he is for the fight.
way to do a bit of training. Obviously, it's been a while. Obviously, since we've seen you in the boxing circuit. We know obviously you've been busy, obviously training away and keeping active, obviously as you can do. How's obviously the pandemic been for yourself?
It's been all right. It's been going on that long now. I've sort of forgotten everything. It's been over a year now. First lockdown, you sort of thought, oh, it's only going to last 2 months, sort of like a wee holiday for everyone. You know what I mean? You thought you were just going to be back to normal after that. But it's been going on a year now, still going on. So
it is. Funny, I've been saying to a few people that I think it's something that we can sort of put in CVs or sort of life experience that, that we can survive without going to pubs and going places everywhere. And then once we get back again, we'll probably treasure it more. Obviously, even a bit younger, sometimes it's going away in lads' hallways and things like that you're sort of missing in your late teen, early 20s. Wasn't a question I sort of brought up, but I think your 21st birthday was recently there, and I think in Box Rec or something that has you at 22, but it's all because of whenever you created your Facebook, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think I might actually change that a couple of weeks ago. I turned 22 there on the 16th of February. So my 21st was last February. So
I think it's, remember, I think I put up a birthday post in your so I was actually a year younger. Because obviously you'd lied to Facebook and obviously how to get your account years ago. And you never changed it. So there's not, I guess the only time you would sort of change your age and manipulate your age nowadays is in the nightclub. But obviously you just changed it so you could get on social media.
Get on Facebook.
And now you're trying to roll the years back and going, nah, I'm only a year younger than that,
I know.
Obviously you're just early in your 20s, so probably you'll remember more obviously about what age you sort of started boxing and things like that. So what age did you start? I think Tiernan said he was 7.
Yeah. I think I might have been 8 when I started, 7 or 8. My older brother, Aaron and Tiernan, they started at a club out in the countryside. It was like Greencastle Boxing Club. Mm-hmm. They started up there, and obviously I was too young. Tiernan would have been 7. I probably only would have been 5 at the time. And then there was a club opened up in Oma, and then they joined that, and then I think that's whenever I joined as well. And then I remember there was 2 clubs in Oma at the time, and one club trained on a Monday and Wednesday, and another club trained on Tuesday and Thursday. And I just loved boxing whenever I was at age. So on Monday, Wednesdays I went to one club, and then Tuesday and Thursdays I went to the other club.
You definitely hit the bug very early on then.
I know.
With the brotherly rivalry as well, the three was obviously all coming up amateur boxing at the same time. Did you sort of use that as I need to get one over these guys, or were they going 4 nights a week as well?
No, I never really thought of that whenever I was that age. Like I just loved boxing. I loved watching boxing. I remember I got the Amir Khan shorts and everything made up whenever I was young. The sparkly silver shorts for my birthday. They were dear back then, like, and I wanted them for my birthday. And no, I never really thought about that when I was that young. Like I just loved training. Probably one of the fittest there, and I was the youngest. Like I was running flat out and everything. Like I just loved it. So I did.
And was it more because of Aaron and Tiernan indie boxing, or was it just was it you watching them boxing and going, I want to do that, or where did the boxing come about for you?
Probably just watching them. Obviously, whenever you're young, you just look up to your bigger brothers, and then seeing them in the gym training and stuff. I just wanted to do it as well, and that's what I done.
And obviously, I know you're saying there Amir Khan, obviously probably one of your idols growing up. Obviously, your dog probably gives away one of your other idols sort of growing up as well.
Canelo, yeah. I started actually watching Canelo, before anybody really sort of knew him, you know what I mean? Before he became a superstar. Like, whenever I remember I had to do something for school, it was something to do with sports, and I'm like an athlete, and I done on Canelo, like, and this was back, he was fighting on the Mayweather undercards and stuff like that, whenever he wasn't, like, I've been following him years, like.
Scary to think that half his life's been a pro boxer, starting out at 15 in Mexico, and he's 30 now, and what many fights I think it's over 50 fights.
50,
You know, I
over
think
50.
it's scary.
Madness.
What have you made of him? Obviously, recently he seems to have been learning English in the sly. You know, he's starting to do a lot more interviews now in English.
Yeah.
Do you think that probably will maybe get him more fans? Not that he probably needs any more fans, but do you think it might get him
No.
more fans because he'll understand a bit more about him?
Yeah, definitely. I think he probably should have learned English maybe earlier on in his career. Obviously, everyone in boxing knows him, but to get more people outside of boxing to know him, you know what I mean? But obviously he's learning English now, and the interviews are coming on well. It's good, like.
I couldn't believe it. I think it was Andy from AFL was interviewing him, and I was hearing English, and I was going, "What's going on? Canelo doesn't speak
Weird,
English."
isn't it?
You know,
you're starting to know a bit more about his personality and stuff now. You see him speaking to Ryan Garcia in English and stuff, and obviously it's hard. We don't understand Mexican, or we can't really see what type of personality he has, like. But you can see sort of it comes out on him now.
Definitely does, because whenever you were listening, when he was people interviewing him in English and having an impersonator there, and Canelo's saying about 300 words, and then the impersonator just goes, "Yeah, all's good," and you're going,
I know. What the hell?
Mexican must be a hard language to learn if 2 words it contributes to 30 words in Mexican.
I know.
Obviously, as an amateur boxer, you'd obviously quite a successful time as a boxer. I think I'm right in saying you had 90 wins and 12 losses.
Yeah, it was around that there, so it was.
Obviously, I know Joe O'Neill will probably back a lot of it up. He obviously does all the amateur sort of stuff now for BoxRec, so hopefully your record just hopefully over time sort of reflect on what it should be. And you obviously 3 areas titles along the way. How did you find amateur boxing? Did you find it relatively easy? Sometimes hard to find fights in certain weight classes?
No, I loved amateur boxing. Like, the first 2 years starting out, I didn't really do that well, to be fair. Like, I had a good couple of wins, but I never got to Dublin, I never got to All Ireland. But once I turned 13, I sort of kicked on from there. Since I was 13 till 18, I got to the final. Either won it or got to the final every year, apart from 1 year. I think it was under 18s. I lost in the semi-final. But apart from that, I was always there, like, so I was.
And at what sort of age then did you think of turning pro? Did you get to a certain age and go, I can't wait to turn 18, turning pro? When did you sort of think of the turning pro aspect?
I sort of knew maybe when I was 15 or 16, I wanted to go pro early. I wasn't going to wait about long in the amateur game and try to go for the Olympics or anything. I was even sparring pros whenever I was 15 and 16. I remember I went over to Marbella when I was 15, I think it was, and I was sparring pros like Engel Moreno. I think he fought Charlie Edwards and Jay Harris for the world titles. I was over sparring him when I was 15. Like, I was only 52 kilo at the time, so I knew. And then whenever I seen all them lads training and all, I knew it wouldn't be long before I turned over. You know what I mean?
And how did who was it sort of made the interaction to sort of get you to turn pro MTK? Was it you yourself?
I always had a close relationship with the ones over in Marbella and stuff like that. Like the likes just obviously Jamie Conlon as well. I knew Jamie through his dad from John, and I just wanted to go pro. You know what I mean? I didn't want to stay amateur. There was nothing happening. They were changing the ages and tournaments and stuff, and I was just sort of in between. I was supposed to enter the Ulster seniors, and then they changed the age. I couldn't enter, and then they changed it back, and it was just a real balls up. So it just says, if I didn't turn pro, I probably wouldn't box ever again. You know what I mean? Just sort of fell out of love. I just didn't want to do amateur boxing anymore, and just wanted to give the pro game what I always wanted to do. So that was it.
Seem to see obviously quite a routine. Obviously, people now they get this certain age, or they've tried for a few years in the amateur game, and probably sometimes they go, if I'm going to box, I may as well box pro and sort of build a name up rather than get so far in the amateur game. But then you have to start from scratch and go again.
Exactly.
It used to be a thing like if you done well in the Commonwealth Games, probably not the Commonwealth Games as such, but the Olympic Games and stuff like that, you were always guaranteed a big payday. With either Frank Warren or Eddie Hearn, you'd obviously the likes of George Groves, De Gale and things like that, even AJ and stuff coming through. But it seems to be now probably we're going to miss the class of 2020, obviously in the Olympics. But whenever the Olympics turns over again, are these people going to be rushed in the same way, or will they probably start like you have had to do in the small hall circuit and sort of build yourself up?
Yeah.
Obviously, the County of Tyrone has a rich list of obviously boxing over the years. What is it? Obviously, it keeps producing so much talent.
I'm not sure. Tyrone boxing's always been good. You've got the likes of Conrad Cummings, been doing great in the pro game. Before that, you like D Tiger had a couple of pro fights. Coming up now, you've got the likes of Jude Gallagher's coming through in the seniors and the elites, and obviously me and Tiernan and Aaron for years. But Aaron obviously doesn't box anymore now.
Did Aaron just sort of fall out of love with an amateur game and just decide that obviously just to help support you and Tiernan rather than continue on himself?
Yeah, he just got that age, when you start getting girlfriends and start drinking and partying, he just sort of fell out of love with it then after that.
So easy to do, sometimes people don't realise that they, missing your birthdays or going out drinking with the lads and stuff like that, it's probably sometimes more in the later years when somebody gets to world title level, they go, I've sacrificed everything for 10 years, but you can easily go off the rails at 15 or 16, following the wrong people, drinking drugs, and next thing your life's in a turmoil and you're going, what's going on? So it takes a lot of credit, and obviously, I guess it's your talent. Sometimes it probably shows you should have stayed, fighting boxing or like out in the drink this weekend, No,
like you always see boys. Like I always said to myself, I never wanted to be one of them people that used to box years ago and done well, and then they're sitting in a pub years later saying, "Oh, I wish I had done this and I wish I had done that." I was sort of Aaron as well that kept in our ears because he wished he's 26, 27 now, and he wishes that he stayed at it because he was good enough. And he keeps saying to us, stay at it, and he regrets it that he didn't stay at it at the time. You know what I mean? Because never know where he could be now if he stuck at it.
Exactly, but I guess the good thing is obviously staying around you and Tiernan and stuff as well, and keeping you motivated, and he'll probably have the pride out of that as well, going and keeping them in it, and as a real family bond, as I've obviously seen you at obviously either in Ulster Hall or on the Feile and things like that, and it's really close knit,
Yeah.
Sometimes you obviously the brotherly rivalry, all you ever do is fight,
Yeah.
You take my PlayStation or you're my trainers, and maybe that still goes on behind closed doors, but obviously not at the boxing shows,
Yeah, definitely.
So we're actually coming up now. I'd said just off air before we started, we're actually coming up now 2 years since you made your debut. Cummings and Keeler undercard.
Yeah, in Ulster Hall.
What an occasion that was to make your debut in.
That was unreal. It was on just before the main event as well. I was thinking, the whole lead up that I'm going to be on first or second, you know what I mean? It's early on in the show, like most people, but thankfully MTK. It was sort of a good idea as well because Conrad's from Tyrone. There's plenty of Tyrone fans in there, and I'm from Tyrone as well. So it was sort of a good way to do it. So it was get the fans going.
And obviously the fans, I think all your fans at the balcony seats right above the doors, so you could hear them obviously all night. But it got everybody in the good spirits. Obviously, you yourself, when you're straight after your fight, you're still buzzing. You probably want to do another 4 rounds. You're going, rather than going to get changed or anything else, you're going to have to stay and watch the fight.
I know. There was that much buzz. I just threw on a jacket and came straight back out to watch it. It was mad.
Definitely, I was going to say, you don't want to miss, obviously, you don't want to be watching it the next day when you see all the atmosphere and stuff. It's a north v south, rivalry sort of thing as well. And obviously the rematch and stuff as well. What is obviously, I guess that's sort of a memory I'll probably never leave you of making your debut at the Ulster Hall.
No, definitely not. It was some buzz. It's probably the best atmosphere so far, anyway. It was just it'll never, that moment, they'll never be taken away from me. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And obviously coming out and seeing fans and stuff there. And it was actually MTK's first show in the Ulster Hall as well. So I remember actually Mark and Lop had a show the month previous. I remember Lee Eaton telling me to take videos and stuff so he could see it. And obviously once they'd then seen it, they were going, what a venue. I keep thinking, when the end of the pandemic goes, everything's over and we're back to normal. Let's see how close we can get the Ulster Hall filled out again because it's an iconic venue.
You sort of take them shows for granted, but like you can't wait for them to get back now. Like the atmosphere is unreal. Many does it hold? Is it 800 or 1,000?
I think it's about 1,200. I think 1,200 because I know York Hall holds 1,600, and I think it's about 1,200. Ulster Hall is, but it probably feels more than double that. Everybody's all packed in tight.
He's roasting too.
especially in the ring, you know.
I know.
We had to take our coats off on the outside, just watching the fights, and these are
I
obviously
know.
no t-shirts on and still roasting in the ring, you
I
know.
know.
You obviously had the pleasure of obviously fighting here 3 times now as a pro.
Yeah.
And you also fought in the Feile as well in 2019. So, like, what a start you had, making your debut in the March, and then obviously fighting 10,000 people in Falls Park. You know,
Yeah.
it's probably another memory. You know, I know you haven't obviously fought in 13 months now, but when you look back at memories of the Feile, it's probably the big thing that got Tiernan obviously back into it as well. I think from his interview, I
Yeah.
think he'd said seeing the atmosphere and stuff there really gave him that drive to push on.
Yeah, Falls Park was class. Like I'm thankful to actually get on that show. Like, you know, there's that many fighters, and to get on such a big show, and it was sort of it was a Frank Warren show as well. Like, you think about it, Frank Warren MTK show, and for me just to get an opportunity to be on that card so early in my career, you know what I mean? It was an unbelievable show. So it was.
It was, and obviously the pandemic put an end to obviously 2020 and probably 2021 as well. You know, I think the plan was to double it again to go to 20,000. You know, the atmosphere was crazy. I think actually at a stage, I think I must have went about 4 hours without going to the toilet. I didn't want to miss any action. And when I did go to the toilet, it was Dennis McCann's fight, and it was over in 30 seconds.
30 seconds. You missed it.
But I actually got to see it, and it finished, and I thought, right, I'm going to have time now to go to the toilet. But the card from start to finish, you know, you'd obviously shocks, you know, and everything else in the card. It really was a card that sort of delivered everything, you know. So far as a pro, you've sort of campaigned around super middleweight. That'll be a laugh. Super featherweight limit. What is your preferred weight class you're hoping to fight at, obviously moving forward?
For now, I'm hoping to move down to featherweight for my next fight. See how I do that, and then hopefully campaign at Super Bantam.
Super Bantam, so that's what, 122?
122, yeah.
Aye. Obviously in them smaller weight classes sometimes they're a wee bit easier to get to.
Yeah.
You know, obviously when you get to the bigger weight classes, I think when it's Stephen Ward on, actually he was jumping from light heavy to cruiserweight, and there's a 25-pound difference, and you're going, how is that possible? And obviously they've now brought Bridgerweight in as well, and it's when you get to them bigger weight classes, sometimes it's harder. But then for the smaller fighters, sometimes it's having that advantage over somebody having the size and reach and stuff over them. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
Which obviously Gary Cully's doing well at lightweight. You know,
he's doing very well.
6'2" and making 135 pound. You know, it's crazy to think how genetics has sort of got at this stage where he can make weight.
I know. Like, I was looking at him and I was like, I'm only 5 pounds. Campaigning now, 5 pounds later, and you like, with the size difference between me and Gary, obviously, and I was like I could definitely go down weight, like.
I definitely, it's a fear of going. If we go to lightweight and have to fight Gary Cully, it's how do you get close to him? You'd literally have to just use one arm and cut it off and tie the other one just so you could get in the reach of him.
He's some size, so it is.
Yeah, it's like I can remember obviously watching him early on. I think he fought in the Burnett card in 2017 and sort of seeing him starting out, and he sort of looked a bit rusty to sort of going, but it's so gelled so quickly, and he's just shocking everybody. Beat Joe Fitzpatrick in less than a round. Obviously won last weekend in less than 2 rounds. You're going,
I know.
There's no overtime in boxing, so he's making the most of it, you know.
He's flying at the moment.
Definitely is, and obviously it'll probably not be too long till we see him out again because he's came out unscathed. Obviously you haven't had any fight news sort of recently, but last week you obviously confirmed you've linked up with Stephen O'Rourke in Dublin.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Was it more you were impressed with obviously what he was doing with Tiernan, or was it obviously the fact that they're getting fighters out so often and fighting?
The fact just I went over to Spain there for Tiernan's fight in December. You know, I was looking at pro coaches at them anyway, because sort of need to get into a pro gym, get the proper pro training, pro sparring. You know what I mean? At the minute, I'm just still with my amateur coach Adam and my brother Aaron, just doing bits and pieces at home. Yeah. And just felt like now's the time where I need to get into a proper pro gym, you know, and around others that are in the same goal as me, you know what I mean? Sparring the proper lads. And then went over to Spain with Tiernan, with Stephen, and we just really enjoyed him as a person and as a coach. You know what I mean? We done a couple of sessions out in, over in Marbella. Just the sessions that he was doing, the stuff that he was doing, we really gelled. and I just really enjoyed what he was doing. And then I seen Tiernan's fights, and I just noticed the difference in Tiernan's boxing, how much he's come on in so little time. You know what I mean? He's only, like, this time last year, Tiernan was maybe 90 kilo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And whereas now he's come nearly, he'll be 4-0 in 2 weeks' time, and he's down into proper weight. And I just see the difference in Tiernan's boxing. I've been watching him sparring the last couple of weeks, and it's the best I've ever seen him. Like, it's probably the best I've seen someone spar live.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I've never.
I guess it's sort of testament to the way that Tiernan's, I know obviously before he even turned pro, everybody, anybody was in any way involved in boxing in a way knew of Tiernan's talents. But obviously, with him losing so much weight and continuing to lose the weight and obviously continuing to get fighting steady, it shows how much he's enjoying it. And probably it was so easy for you to go, I need to go there as well, because,
Exactly.
Let's face it, Callum, you've had 13 months without a fight. You're probably starting to get to the stage of going, when's the next fight going to come?
Exactly.
You've probably done the good thing, and I know you've been sparring with John Cooney and stuff as well, but it's going to give you regular sparring and give you a laugh and a joke when you're in the gym and stuff as well, rather than the usual of obviously pouring about by yourself and obviously just a few other ones. It's keeping you active, and that's the main thing.
Definitely. Even the second was the first or second lockdown. Eric Donovan was training for his fight against Barrett, Alpha Barrett. There was even sparring him, a couple of good spars with him. I wasn't even really in shape. You know what I mean? I was just dossing about. Yeah. But I was still in sparring. I was sparred Kikachi once because he was supposed to fight Woodstock. Right? What was it, October time or something?
Yeah.
He was supposed to fight Spark Kikachi, and I was still doing bits and pieces. I was still, training away, but I was sort of a bit heavy. But I was still getting the good spars in. And but then obviously now down with O'Rourke's, like, I'm getting in proper good shape now. It's probably the lightest. I'm walking about the lightest I am. I'm only a couple of kilos above the Super Featherweight limit, like. Whereas before I would have been a couple of kilos about 2 weeks before my fights. Do you know what I mean? Yep. Whereas now I don't even have a fight date, and I'm walking around at a good weight, like.
So you're sort of using the Eddie Hearn approach where we sort of had from last year. You're just keeping yourself ready because you don't know when the phone call might come.
Exactly. Like, Jimmy could ring me, you're fighting next week. You know what I mean? So you just sort of have to be ready, like.
And obviously it happened this week for Sean Duffy. He was out of the ring for 17 months. He was obviously supposed to fight in the same card as you in the Ulster Hall, but obviously had an injury that obviously left him in the card late notice. But he's got his call up after 17 months, and hopefully now it's not going to be too long to get your own sort of fight news. Have you been sort of badgering Jimmy and sort of to go, give me a fight?
Yeah, I've been sort of probably a bit of a torture, but it's, you just want to know when you're eager to get out. You know what I mean? You want to know when you're out, like. So hopefully it's not too long. So it's not. Hopefully Stephen O'Rourke as well can maybe get in a couple of contacts as well. Maybe try, even if I can get out in Spain or something like that next month in April. Hopefully I can get that sorted maybe.
Funny, I think whenever I interviewed Tiernan, I think back in September, it sort of said, about the prospect of obviously two E's fighting on the same card. Probably at that stage, probably didn't even think of the two E's linking up together again to train, but obviously the two fighting on the same card again as well. I'm hoping it wouldn't be away somewhere. I'm hoping to be more somewhere closer to home.
Hopefully it'll be at home so we can bring fans to it. You know what I mean? We could sell the place out if we wanted to. You know what I mean? We would sell a lot of tickets, like.
You probably could, although to be fair, probably might not be good for Oma, because there'll be nobody left in Oma for the whole weekend.
You're right. Nightclubs wouldn't be happy if they're back open by then.
There'll be tractors and trailers everywhere in Belfast or in Dublin or whatever.
Right. We're not that country now.
Well, I have to throw it in myself somewhere because I called a farmer quite a lot, so sometimes I have to sort of go the other way, I know. What's obviously your thoughts been on Irish boxing during the pandemic? Have you sort of looked to boxing to sort of keep yourself sane and keep yourself motivated and getting back into boxing?
Yeah, I've been watching boxing anytime it's on TV. I've been watching it. I can't even remember who for the past year who's been fighting or what's been going on. I've just been throwing it on the TV. It's the only thing really to do at the weekends now is watch the boxing.
There's probably quite a lot of people's been out in boxing. Obviously, people probably haven't got out to box, but there's been so many probably shows on. We get to this stage where you get 4 or 5 shows over a 3-week period, and then you get 3 weeks of no shows, and you're going, why not space it out better? Give us something every weekend,
I know.
Sort of looking at the Irish boxing sort of circuit, I'll probably come to a sort of conclusion of sort of would you be looking at the model of obviously some of the other MTK fighters in, for instance, Lewis, Sean McComb, and Gary Cully as a sort of the approach in the way that you sort of want to go? Is you want to be kept busy, kept active, and sort of get the 9 or 10-0 and start getting title fights?
Definitely. The plan is hopefully just get down at a fight in featherweight, blow off the cobwebs, and then hopefully get down into super bantam, proper weight, and keep building from then. You know what I mean? I've only done 4 4-rounders now, so hopefully get the 6s and 8s and 10s, and just keep building it. Like I'm only 22 at the end of the day. As much as I want the fight, I'm not in any way of a rush. Do you know what I mean? For the big fights, I want to build myself well, and just what them lads are doing. You know what I mean? Building it up to 12-0 and 13-0, and then going for the titles.
And I guess probably in some ways we're sort of frustrated if you don't get a fight. Obviously Jamie would probably be saying the same and sort of saying, look, you're only 22, you have plenty of time, because if you come out and have a fight and you fight someone and obviously it's not obviously the level that fans may expect, they'll say, get Callum Bradley this or get Callum Bradley that. It's probably what they've been doing with Dennis McCann. Dennis McCann's obviously very young and they're sort of saying, get him a British title, get him a European title, and sometimes if he listens to that too much, can sidetrack him off of obviously the plan of the team and everything else. So in some ways it probably might suit, but get you out every once or 6 months or something like that, so that people remember you still box.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously, I don't know where I got this sort of question from when I was planning this sort of the other day, but what's obviously your thoughts on obviously world boxing at the moment?
It's world boxing's flying. Obviously, you've got Carl Frampton coming up in 2 or 3 weeks' time against Herring, isn't it? And then Drew McKenna's an undercard too, isn't he?
I think the way ESPN have it, I think they have it as Drew McKenna's co-main event.
Yeah.
As well.
I think world boxing's flying. Obviously, Canelo, who's my favourite fighter at the moment, he's fighting Billy Joe now in May, which will be good. I think Canelo will be too strong. I don't see anybody beating Canelo for the next, probably till the end of his career.
It's sort of looking at that now, and you're sort of saying that he's fully grown into super middleweight very, very quickly,
Yeah.
And for the way he sort of made Callum Smith sort of look as if he wasn't world level, it was frightening. And Callum Smith was probably the one where you would have probably thought he may have the biggest problems with.
Yeah, because of his size.
Yep. Obviously, people are obviously going to have opinions, blah, 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 about the fight, but, I don't think Billy Joe's probably had a good fight in the last couple of years, and they got up against an animal like Canelo that's staying active as well. This will be his third or fourth fight in 6 months.
Yeah, his best one was one against Lemieux, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was right 2 years ago now. I think Billy Joe, he probably would have been better just staying active, doing what Canelo's doing now, fighting every couple of months, and then taking the Canelo fight. Which when was the last time he's fought now?
Billy Joe fought. Billy Joe fought his last fight about a year ago. Well, when did Billy Joe last fight?
Did he fight in America or was
he did fight an American card, but he had to come on late in the fight. He came on late in the fight. Did he not stop the guy?
Or was it Martin Murray, was it?
Yes, he fought Martin Murray at the end of December. There we go.
That's what it was.
It sort of shows sometimes that we don't plan these interviews because we were both sort of at a loss as they went Billy Joe fought. Aye.
No, but I don't.
I was actually watching the Shannon Courtney interview last night with AFL, and they were sort of mentioning, I think it was the 4th of December, he fought Martin Murray.
Yeah. No, I don't think he's got the. I don't think he's at the level of. He's obviously, but I don't think he's been beat since he was 12 or something. I think I've seen Billy Joe. Is that right?
And I think he said he's never been stopped. He's never been dropped probably either. But it's one of these things. If you've never been dropped before, and if Canelo drops you, it could be the first time he drops you could put you out of the fight.
Exactly, definitely. No, I think a lot of people are looking back at Canelo years ago when he fought Ruslan De Lara, who's a tricky southpaw, and they're thinking, oh, this will be a close fight. But that was years ago, you know what I mean? Canelo was 10 times the fighter he was back then. Now,
do you think obviously, sort of, not that we're turning your interview into a sort of Canelo interview, but do you think he probably learned so much from losing to Mayweather that he's made sure, people always sometimes say it's only a loss if you don't learn from it, and he learned loads from that, and he's just reinvented himself as the takeover of of Mayweather?
Definitely, I think that that loss sort of made his career. You know what I mean? It sort of changed him as a bit of like a fighter. Whereas back then he was sort of just a boxer puncher. Whereas now he's got one of the best defenses in boxing. You wouldn't think it. Like his defense is unreal. Like, and I think that was all to do with the Mayweather loss as well. He learned a lot.
Obviously, Eddie Reynoso, obviously as well. It's coming into four laws. Obviously, been so much talent. Ryan Garcia and Andy Ruiz and stuff in the gym as well. You're going, everybody's been talking about Eddie Reynoso for years now. What he's adding to people's games. But obviously, hopefully soon there'll be your name up with them big lights and getting 30 million for a fight.
You're right. That's the plan. Hopefully.
Wouldn't mind fighting once a year if you're getting 30 million for fighting.
Definitely not.
Obviously, while you're sort of touching on world boxing and stuff as well, what have you thought of DAZN coming into the UK and Irish market?
Brilliant. Very good. Good for the boxers and good for the boxing. It'd be good maybe if they branched into Ireland, Northern Ireland. It'd be great. Like, if Eddie Hearn sort of looked at more Irish prospects, the likes of Gary Cully, even myself, lads coming up. Obviously, he's got Tennyson and Katie Taylor and Tommy McCarthy, but because he's branching a lot into the American prospects, you see all them getting the run-outs in the Hearn's cards. It would just be good to get, get the Irish lads on it as well.
Because I know at stages, I know that Stephen Donnelly and Sean McComb both obviously had a chance. One fought on Jacob's card. Sean obviously fought on Amir Khan's card, and he fought in another one in America as well. So they were sort of, I think at the time, looking at both of them, and it didn't pay off. But there's so much talent in Irish boxing nowadays that it's just not been given a chance.
I know. I get Eddie Hearn's probably just waiting, obviously, for the Olympics to pass as well, to get a couple of good signings as well. You know what I mean? He's probably just waiting for that there.
And so you never know, by the end of 2021, you could be fighting on the undercard in the SSE. If the plan of obviously Hearn come back.
That'd be unreal. So it would. Hopefully when was the last time there was a show? Was it Burnett's, was it?
Well, there's the last matchroom show was October, November 2017. You'd obviously Frampton. Frampton's obviously been there since on Mick Conlon's homecoming. 2018. So we're coming up now 3 years since no shows in the SSE. It's frightening.
What?
It's given me another thought of a poster later. No SSE showing. I think it's 3 years. Must be 3 years.
Hopefully Tennyson, he's supposed to be fighting Ricky Burns, isn't he, next?
Yeah, I think that's been announced tomorrow. I think Tennyson fights Ricky Burns, Katie Taylor fighting Natasha Jonas. And I think obviously another fight in that card is going to be Chisora and Parker. So I think Eddie's blowing the May budget on the first day in May.
Yeah. Hopefully Tennyson gets through that and then he can come back to Belfast. Hopefully and headline SSE, maybe against Linares or something. You know what I mean? Get a big name over if they can.
I say maybe by that stage, by the time it comes to October, November, December time, Lopez may have moved up and there may be a vacant title or something there as well.
Exactly, probably, most likely.
Because obviously Tennyson's a sort of one in position at the moment as the next one to sort of take over if Carl decides to retire as well. So I think obviously the more fans and stuff realise that we're coming to the end of Carl's career and start getting behind some other ones, it's only going to help the rest.
Definitely.
Obviously I say your plans to become a world champion, but obviously the burning question is obviously who's going to get there first. Is it going to be you or Tiernan?
Both of us, hopefully both of us get there.
Both get there on the same card?
I don't care who gets there first as long as we both get there, you know what I mean? So we don't have a big rivalry. I think we're like happy for both each other, you know what I mean, doing well in our careers. We're not really jealous, you know what I mean? We're always down there in the gym pushing each other on, you know what I mean? And sparring, he's telling me what to do, what I'm doing wrong, and I'm doing the same to him, you know what I mean? But as long as both of us get to that level, that's what we dreamed of since we were young. I don't care who gets there first.
Yep, exactly. As long as you both get there. Probably the good family answer they have to see if he's having an argument.
Definitely.
I told you I was going first. Sort of want to leave you and sort of one sort of last final question. What do you? Because obviously you're in the younger category than I would be. But what do you think of obviously the whole sort of hype of an Instagram boxer?
Do you mean like YouTube, like Jake Paul and stuff like that, or do you mean
you sort of the YouTube aspect as well, but probably in some ways it's probably helped Ryan Garcia, because obviously for years he sort of put out his videos on Instagram. This is a social media sort of boxer, and it's look at his following sort of has now. But what do you sort of make of, probably when we look back at obviously Chris Eubank Jr., whenever he was doing it a lot, he gets slated for it because people were saying you're only hitting a pad, and things like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, how much do you think obviously social media can help in ways, and videos obviously help show people you're still training and things like that, but do you think sometimes people take it too much?
I don't know. It's sort of a good thing, you know what I mean? It can help you, it helps promoters see, it helps managers see, you know what I mean? It builds your profile. It's something that I don't do enough, you know what I mean? Like I go out and do a session, and I wouldn't post it, you know what I mean? It makes no odds to me. But whereas, you know what I mean, it's something that I should probably do more of, more videos, more training videos. It's just something that I don't, you know what I mean? But obviously it builds your profile. I think it's sort of a good thing. I don't think Ryan Garcia would be where he is now if he didn't do all that. Like, no disrespect to him as a boxer, as a fighter, obviously beat the likes of Luke Campbell. But I think there's hundreds of Ryan Garcias, do you know what I mean? Like boxing wise, style wise. I think it's only a matter of time before he gets beat. But obviously he's got there because of his profile and his following and stuff like that.
And I say, I thought that, the wheels were going to come off against Luke Campbell, and obviously putting, a left hook he put him down with, and you're going, this is it. And then people have been doing didn't we tell you, all these social media posts and sort of getting out of the way. So
exactly.
It's sort of finding the mix between it all sometimes.
It is.
You sort of mentioned there the YouTube boxers. In probably some ways, they're doing good things because they built up their own social media following to a stage where they become relevant. Wasn't McGregor's obviously in the big spat with obviously the Pauls and things like that, and one of them's obviously fighting Mayweather, and I think Mayweather's reckoning he's making 100 million out of fighting a YouTuber.
I know, it's mad. Fair play to them, all the same. They built their profile up, but I think it's a bit disrespectful them coming across. Fighters have been training their arses off their whole life to try to get big fights, and you know what I mean. This is our job at the end of the day. Whereas them boys can just come out and put one video up, and they're up there. You know what I mean? I think they should just stay doing what they're doing. But obviously, they are dicks, but at the same time, they're just trying to get, build their profile even more, and just I don't even know what they're doing. You know what I mean?
It's hard to know sometimes what they do.
It is.
And it's if you don't post about it, somebody else has got it, and it depends sometimes on what you're looking for. If somebody's looking to have loads of interactions and likes and blah 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 whatever for the wrong reasons,
Yeah.
I know that when they first started social media sort of thing coming with the YouTubers, someone was saying, well, we can't ignore the views and things like that. But sometimes you have to remember boxing is the most brutalist sport in the world, and if one of them gets killed in doing the sport, then it only throws more eyes open. They go, we need to ban that sport.
Exactly, definitely. But at the same time, it does bring new fans, different types of fans to boxing as well. With the ones that follow the Pauls and other YouTubers, it'll make them want to follow boxing as well. I think they had a bit of a spat with Dylan Moran, remember, online.
And Dylan's Instagram's doubled in size.
Yeah. I think he got maybe an extra 30 or 40,000 followers from it,
You
know what I mean?
Exactly. It's funny, when he was over for the last McGregor fight, he was rolling about Dubai in a Lamborghini, and I was asking him to send me it back, But obviously that's what sort of life can do sometimes. Obviously your own brother obviously has had the luxury of obviously training with McGregor and stuff in the past, and didn't turn pro at the time because he didn't want the wrong sort of attention. People saying, getting a big following sort of off the back of training McGregor, and he's sort of done it the right way.
Yeah.
But
we were saying all along, he probably should have turned pro straight away after that. Whenever he was going to, then he took sort of 2 years of a break. But at the same time, it's sort of a good thing it happened now, because he made it went pro for a couple of years and then took the break, and then never fought again. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So he took that year.
He fought sort of at his own sort of pace and what he wants to do, rather than do this or do that, and then the next thing he'd be 2 or 3-0, and somebody be looking for him to fight somebody that's 15 or 20-0, and
Exactly.
Quickly for it.
Everything happens for a reason, like, and he's flying at the moment now. Like, it's probably, like, see, even when fighting in the seniors and the elites, Tiernan always done well, but Tiernan was someone that never ever really would have trained hard. You know what I mean? He wouldn't have been a hard trainer, but see now, since he's turned pro, he took that year break. He's lost all the weight now. I've never seen someone that trains hard and so determined. You know what I mean? It's definitely changed him, like.
Definitely is, and I guess sort of some of that buzz can come off you now in the gym as well when you're training together, and you know,
definitely.
You never know. It might get you to the stage where obviously you could maybe get down to minimum weight or light fly. Obviously, if he starts giving you his gives you his weight loss techniques, but I don't think you probably too much have to lose yourself.
If it gets me a fight, I'll get down to that weight.
No matter if you have to cut half your leg off.
You're right. You know? I'll jump in.
But look, obviously, Callum, we'll obviously leave it obviously with you for there. Obviously, want to thank you for catching up with us. I know we had a bit of an issue, obviously trying to get connected at the start, but finally we got the interview rolled out. Obviously, if I am speaking to Jamie and stuff like that as well, I'll maybe send him a link and stuff for your interview later, so he remembers that you're still promoted by MTK and
you're right.
get you out soon.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Cheers, Lord.